Flat Earth Debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, OK Computer, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Afternoon.
Afternoon. Good to have you. Welcome, welcome. I haven't done any housekeeping questions for a while, and so long, in fact, that it's probably worth highlighting the reason we do them. So, in years gone by, we've had arguments that are presented to us that we want to memorialise in terms of their defeat, their death, and we memorialise them with housekeeping questions. Now, if the answers to the question aren't forthcoming, that is to say, obvious in terms of how, in some instances, the contradictory question is explained within the question. If not, it gets a qualifier, or a stony silence if there's actually globe believers potentially here to answer it. I don't know what that case is today, and I'm not going to find out. I'm just going to ask a few of them. So, any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? I'll take that as a no. One of the things I had to do for the book that I'm currently in the process of writing was verbalise a story about Thea, which is a story that's been told plenty of times on the show, but it's normally my paraphrasing of whatever Discovery Channel and encyclopedic reference that I've got in terms of their description. That's heliocentrists' made-up story about the impact of Thea on the fledgling Earth prior to it being the Earth that we know today. In other words, their description of why we have a moon and an oversized molten iron core. Oversized because in their timeline it doesn't quite fit the core that we have, giving us their global magnetic field would have cooled down. So to overcome that problem, they have this impact trajectory of a planet called Thea smashing into Earth when Earth's only Mars size, and the glancing blow is such that it doesn't destroy the fledgling Earth, but instead deposits its juicy, delicious molten iron core in Earth's molten iron core, and the debris forms the moon. That is why, you know, bits of wood that come from the moon when you traverse a sky vacuum in violation of natural law are very similar to the stuff that we find on Earth, and indeed the Antarctic moon rocks that could have only come from the moon. So there you go.
I don't know about that, Nathan. In New York City yesterday, there was a meteor that hit. Well, it burnt up in the atmosphere, but right through the Statue of Liberty. What do you guys say about that? Explain meteorites on a flat Earth, buddy, Mr. Bookman.
You're saying you can actually show me a meteor impact in New York? Really? I didn't know that.
That's what they said. I was going to ask Eli if you heard about it. It was all over the news today. And it was funny listening to the sports radio guys talk about it, because they were trying to get the distance to the moon, and they were talking about measurements and how far it is. And I was like, boy, they have no clue. If they were only educated, they would realize that it's flat.
Jardo says Neil is a snitch. Thank you for the super chat, Jardo.
Oh, that's another thing. Somehow, I'm a member again.
Yeah, Jardo specifically told you that he would be buying you a membership, and the fact that you had one bought for you was highlighted in the live show. Is everything okay, Neil?
Yeah, but I lost reception, so I don't know what happened. I came on and I'm a member. Thank you, Jado.
We got there in the end. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Jado, for buying all those memberships yesterday. If you are a member, you get to check out the Uncut and After show. There was an interaction with a globe Earth proponent who denied the fundamental measurements that build his globe. It was quite eye-opening.
Come on, give his name, Platypus.
Yes, G.E. Platypus was the person. So if you want to check that out, it's towards the end of yesterday's after show. Whatever number that is. I haven't actually got the show number in front of me and I can't remember what it is. It was 2147, yesterday's Uncut and After show. If you happen to have picked up a free membership, or indeed you'd like to buy a membership, I strongly encourage you do. Maybe with my strong encouragement that people should buy a membership to get access to literally thousands of hours of material, we should cover Jiren today. So, Level Earth Observer, one housekeeping question's all you're getting in case you were wondering. Level Earth Observer did a video that only came out in the last couple of hours. I did happen to watch it. Where it is? Here we go. So, this is kind of a bit odd because on the one hand, I'm going to agree with the sentiment that you're going to hear in this video, which is a bit disappointing because there's no need for it. Now, I'm going to expand on what I mean by that. So, the sentiment that you're going to hear from Level Earth Observer is that Level Earth Observer is being claimed, like I am, to be a grifter. That is to say that in Jiren's mind, him recognising the danger of this affirming the consequent fallacy that is assuming you are antipodal when you go to Antarctica to potentially observe a 24-hour sun. He says that because I assume he hasn't recognised the fallacy, this is before I highlighted him the fallacy via Skype, he assumed that that would mean we would be in danger and the flat earth we punt is the grift that would be in danger by Jiren's righteous endeavour to see if it is actually a globe when you assume antipodal positioning. So with all that in mind, we're being called a grifter, that's Level Earth Observer and myself, because we punt flat earth and there might be a danger to it that apparently we're decrying. Okay, so you've got the general outline of what's going on. Now in response to this, Level Earth Observer has gone to Jiren's shop and gone, look, Jiren's got stuff for sale, some of which is his time. Now, when I saw that, I thought, oh, that's a good idea. It's kind of akin to what Brian's done, or suggested he would do. If somebody's like, I want you to come and waste your time on my show where I shout at you, call you an idiot, shut you down and mute you, and tell the audience it's a neutral platform. Come and do that now, or I'll call you a coward, and names. And Brian's response to that is, pay me 1,500 euros. Well, Jiren has done something similar. He hasn't phrased it in that way. He's phrased it for life coaching. And to be honest, it doesn't actually matter. If he's selling his time, and his time is valuable, everyone's time is valuable. Well, not everybody's. But anyway, my point is, he's got his time and his knowledge and information to sell, and he's selling it for a price. Now, from that perspective, I go, fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. You know, if you've got...
What knowledge?
Huh? Say again?
What knowledge and what information is he selling?
It's not
and
relevant.
who's scamming who?
It's not
Holy
relevant.
Shoot.
I'm getting there, Neil. Just bear with me. It's not relevant, right? The market dictates whether or not what he has to sell is valuable. Yeah, you pay your money, you take your choice, you assess it after you've paid for it. If you don't see good value, you moan about it. That's different. That is not what I'm pointing out. What I'm pointing out is that this ability to market yourself and sell yourself is perfectly a reasonable endeavour. You know, in the same way I'm bleating about, look, I'm a family man and want to earn money for my family. Well, in the same way, so's Jiren, right? And he wants to earn money for his family and he's got his time to sell and he can sell it. There's nothing wrong with that. Until you start calling other people grifters. Now, from that perspective, Level Earth Observer has a point, which is to say, I don't make any money from this. My channel's not monetized. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to point out the Level Earth that I observe, right? Based on his title. And he, like we, also decries what, in quotes, is deemed to be flat Earth. You know, he, like we, also sees that flat Earth is a bastardization of the very level and flat Earth that we actually experience and measure and navigate. And it's turned into some meme of idiots that he doesn't want any part of, and I can completely agree with him. Now, I've got no issue calling myself a flat earther. He does. And it, again, isn't that relevant. What's relevant for him in his point is that he's suggesting, Level Earth Observer is suggesting, that it's projection. That is to say that, let's rephrase it and repackage it. Jiren's income potentially is viewed by Jiren as being threatened. And therefore, because of which he's projecting that threat onto Level Earth Observer, but by suggesting that Level Earth Observer is taking part in some sort of grift. Now, that's great for him because he can just throw it straight back at Jiren and go, I'm not actually earning anything, and you're asking hundreds of dollars for courses that you're putting out. So this is projection. Now, normally I wouldn't get involved in this wrangle-dangle, but for the fact that my name is also mentioned right in the middle of this. So I have to sort of split my view on how I approach this, because I have absolutely no issue whatsoever with what Jiren's doing in terms of charging people money for courses. And right up until the point that he starts calling me a grifter, you know, I'm not going to start juxtaposing what I don't have with what he does and say, well, I'm not charging $400 for a course in self-awareness, therefore he's a scammer. Like, I wouldn't dare. But he is doing that. So it isn't necessary that I start comparing and contrasting the fact that, I don't know, 8 years ago I put a Spreadshirt t-shirt shop up that sold maybe 5 or 10 items, tops, to a 500 quid course or $400 course, right? The two things aren't comparable, but I don't want it to be on the record that I'm comparing them, because I don't decry his methodology to try and earn a living. There's nothing wrong with it. Until you start calling other people grifters for just talking about flat Earth. And why is it a grift? Well, because there's a potential danger in Antarctica that Jiren's willing to explore, and therefore us continuing to point out and affirming the consequent fallacy makes us defenders of the flat Earth grift. It just seems unreasonable. I wanted to break it down, but I needed to get my disclaimers in that I disagree in a way that doesn't actually criticize Level Earth Observer, because he's perfectly within his rights to say this is projection. I'm not doing anything for money, and you are. So who's the grifter? Who's the one asking for money? Me, I can't really take that position, especially as I fundamentally disagree with it. You know, I actually raise my eyebrows and go, oh, good idea. Maybe I should do that. Next time some Glober says, you should be on my show. Oh, you can buy that on my shop. Check it out. 300 quid and you can have me on your show. It takes PayPal and credit cards. Feel free. Check it out. You know, in other words, I sort of smiled when I saw it. But Level Earth Observer's being critical of it, so it does need this peppering of disclaimers from me before I get into the video. Before I do, is there any questions?
I do. That is actually a thing, because I watch Sammy the Bull Gravano. He was the underboss and with Gotti, and he has a thing in there too where you could buy time, where you pay and you get a one-on-one with him for like a half an hour.
Yeah.
So it is a thing.
Yeah, there's an entire website called OnlyFans based on this premise. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not exactly complicated. Anyway.
So the handful of people that came across to my channel trying to defend Jiren from the Jirenism channel and his faulty logic, none of them could address the false claims, the accusations of me being a liar and a grifter. All they could do was try and strawman me with Jiren's concept of what he believes the flat Earth is.
Just to clarify that, he's saying, like, we object to azimuthal equidistant projections of a globe that have come from origins in flat Earth measurements of Polaris for latitude lines to wrap around the globe. He's saying the end result azimuthal with a sun and moon rotating about it is a concept. That's how he's phrasing it. Again, we actually, the more I watch of Level Earth Observer, the more what on surface level seems like he's critical of us because he's talking about flat Earth. I would say flat Earth in quotes, because that arena, that group isn't us anymore, but we're still flat earthers. Well, he's detached himself from that, so some of his phraseology doesn't match ours, but most of his sentiment does match our sentiment. So the more I watch of him, the more I think, oh, I really like this guy.
I'm just going to play a very short snippet from the original video, and then we're going to go to Jiren's website. And I don't really need to say anything, but let's just listen.
Well, you can just listen in a second because I'm going to do a call to action. So it's not the first time we've covered Level Earth's Observer, but in the same way as I would do this for literally anybody, friend or foe, please go to Level Earth Observer's channel. He is actually a friendly. It is nice to promote people that are on our side in the most sincere way possible. Go and give him a like, go and give him a subscription, and go and leave a comment, more importantly than anything, saying at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. It won't be the first time he's received these messages, and I'm sure it won't be the last. But please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And if you do happen to subscribe, maybe let him know that. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, love your stuff, I subscribed. I love that. When I get that kind of message, I love that. Just so you know. Because I'm sure he's no different. You get that kind of message and go, oh, my subscriber count's growing. Wicked. Someone sent people my way. Oh, that's awesome. Especially when you're in the arena he and I are in, where we don't get any algorithmic love. This may be the only algorithmic love he gets for a while. Anyway, please let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. You can see the link to this particular video, which is called The Projectionism with Jirenism. Yeah, go and give him a comment. Go and give him a like. Go and subscribe. Check out his videos. I'm going to do that now, because when people see you actually doing it, they're more likely to do it themselves. That's me giving him a like. Hopefully you'll do the same. Hopefully I've done this call to action enough times to get people to actually do it and then come back. What do you reckon? Have I done that long enough? Links in the live stream chat. And I mean it, by the way. Sometimes people listen to this and they're like, yeah, I'll wait it out till you get into the video. Well, don't. Actually go and subscribe to him. Hey, Chocolate.
Morning.
Morning. Okay, I'm going to suggest that is enough time for some of my audience to actually go and let Level Earth Observer know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a nice polite comment, no swearing. The idea of this, I will point this bit out to round out my call to action, is that were Level Earth Observer to actually comment on what we have responded to him with in this regard, so let's say we were critical of him and he was responsive and made a video and said, Nathan Oakley says that I think this is wrong and I am not wrong. Here's why. I would hope that in that circumstance he put a link to my video, like we're putting a link to his. Anyway, that is definitely enough time for a few people to have gone along and left him a comment and subscribed. Let's get into it. Was there someone who was trying to get a comment in before I do? No? Right, let's crack on.
Listen to the clip.
Afraid of their grift ending. Afraid of their whatever they've set up. This is why Nathan Oakley will lie to you. This is why Low Earth Observer Leo will lie to you, or Level Earth Observer. He's just a liar.
So I'm afraid of my grift drying up or whatever, and I'm just a liar. No one could justify that statement, those words that Jiren has just spoken. No one could put any evidence forward to highlight that I'm a liar or that I'm in on a grift. In fact, all the evidence that has come since then just shows that this video that we're going to play today is going to be called Projectism by Jirenism. Bear with me. Okay, so I'm over the website of a man that accused me of 1, of being a grifter, and 2, of being a liar. Of course, he had no evidence, and no one could provide any evidence of those claims. But when we look at the shop of this man in question, Jiren, it becomes obvious this man's just projecting his own dark ways. We got some...
Yeah, I kind of have to interject there. I'll go with projection. I'll agree with you. Right, for whatever reason, what's about to be shown to my audience is obviously, and you can't really draw any other conclusions, perceived to be threatened. Yeah, that's the only conclusion you can draw. So that doesn't mean he's dark. Yeah, it means he's in full defensive mode. Now, from what people...
Oh, he's dark.
Number one, it's not relevant. Number two, the attachment to that claim comes in the form of him charging for his time. Hence, I'd feel unreasonable if I didn't defend things that I think are reasonable to do. Yeah? Now, there might be people in the comments that go, $400 for a no, that's outrageous. Well, then you don't buy it, do you? You know, the market dictates whether or not these things sell. And if that's the going rate for an hour with Jiren, or a day with Jiren, or a dinner with Jiren, then that is the going rate. That's perfectly reasonable. You can't then call him dark for that. That's outrageous.
Is he qualified? Is he qualified to give people life instructions? Is he? Because I heard a few of his things, giving marriage counsel to people. Is he qualified? Does he have degrees?
I don't know.
No, he doesn't.
That's not what we're concerned about. We're concerned about the claims that Level Earth Observer has right when he says this is projection. There is no grift for he or I to protect. Only yesterday when Gyro was specifically talking about memberships. I'm like, you're under no obligation. Thank you for your contributions to date. But there is no obligation. Everything I put out is free. If you don't want to give me a dime, you can see everything I have to offer. Subscribe to my second channel if you don't want to become a member. I encouraged it earlier as a segue into this bit. But you don't have to. You can watch the show I recommended 20 minutes ago on my second channel. It'll come out in a week. So you have to wait a week. That's it. So there's no grift. Other than, yeah, I do want money. Yes, I do want to keep the lights on. Yes, I do want to pay my mortgage. Yes, it'd be nice to feed my kids. Those things require money. Therefore, at various points in my show, I'm going to e-beg. Encourage people to give me money. Of their own volition. There's no obligation. And there's no obligation to buy one of Jiren's courses. Yeah? So it's only the aspect of projection that I agree with. Jiren is doing that when he claims we're grifting. It's like, okay, well, you do have courses available that cost money. So what other conclusion can we draw than we're a threat to that? For whatever reason. Well, yeah, he's going to see that as a threat when he's receiving it from all sides. I have to employ a certain degree of empathy when I'm being told Jiren's being attacked from every side. Some people who stood alongside him for a long time are deserting him and attacking him over this involvement that he has with this quasi-experiment. So from a human standpoint, I go, well, that's crap. I've experienced it when Bob did it to me. Not that I should really draw that slightly unreasonable comparison, but it is true. So I can empathise. But on the other hand, you go, this guy's calling him dark. He's essentially claiming he's evil for trying to earn a crust. Well, I don't know. I can't agree with that. But I can agree with the projection aspect when he claims we're grifters. I'm not a grifter. I'm not grifting anything. You don't have to give me a dime. If you choose to, because you want to support what I do, that means you do, there is no doubt about it, value what I do and hope that you want to keep me going and know that if I don't pay my mortgage and can't keep the lights on, I won't keep going. So people who want to keep me going, give me money with no obligation to do so. But the same applies to Jiren. It's exactly the same standard. Anyway, I've said that 2 or 3 times now. Let's get on with it.
Leaf powder capsules for $30. You can buy a 15-minute meeting with Jiren for $3. Oh, Jiren's a counsellor now as well. You can get a consultation and counselling for $100. No, you're definitely not in on a grift, are you, Jiren? General donations for $1. Monthly support.
You've stooped to his level now. So you're accusing him of being a grifter. Yeah? Why is this a grift? I get it. Defend your position. You're not earning any money, and it's clear that you feel threatened because you do want to earn your money. That doesn't mean you need to go out calling everyone grifters. We're not. But when you sink to Jiren's level and start saying, well, you're a grifter because you charge money for services, that's normal.
$15. A dinner Zoom party with Jiren for $249. But I'm in on a...
See, I'd want more. No, I'm only
I was just going to say, he's selling himself pretty cheap. $3 for 15 minutes?
Yeah. There's probably a lot of people that want 15 minutes of his time here and there. And he's like, oh, okay, $3 seems reasonable. You want 15 minutes? Yeah, $3. Great. That seems perfectly reasonable. I don't see any issue with any of this. Now, you might go,
I
I'm
don't
not
either,
paying that.
And I'm going to...
Well, don't.
Hold on, I don't either, and I'm going to take that I am going to set up a meeting for $3 with Jiren, because there's a few things I need to discuss with him.
Well, perfect.
Thank you very much, Flat Level Earth Observer.
Yeah, inadvertently, you've advertised Jaren's services as it should be. I hope you do give Jiren $3 for 15 minutes of his time. Not so you can have a bloody go at him. Hope you don't do that. But you know what I mean? You know, you see that there's value in talking to Jiren. You want to bend his ear for 15 minutes. Then it'll cost you $3. I hope you get a few sales out of this, Jiren. Not because I want to annoy Level Earth Observer, but because I hope the same is reciprocated. Not from you, but in general terms. So I don't want to be crabs in a bucket, which is essentially what Jiren's doing to us when he calls us grifters. Like crabs in a bucket. Yeah? Oh, well, look at that person. They're climbing up the side of the bucket. Better drag them back down again. And tit for tat, Level Earth Observer's doing the same. Well, you're a grifter. Well, you're a grifter. It's like, no, crabs in a bucket. Yeah? Let him stand on your shoulders. Now, it's hard to do that, very, very hard, when they're calling you a grifter. When they're calling you a scammer. It's hard to do. But, I don't want to sink to Jiren's level in that regard. So, yeah, I hope Jiren gets a few consultations out of it. I hope a few people give him $3. Because they want to talk to him. Good. In 10 years, if I ended up doing the same thing, for whatever reason, in the exact same way, I'd hope that my closest competitor, if you want to consider me and Jiren competitors, wouldn't go out of their way to screw me for no good reason when I'm just trying to earn a coin. And here's Jiren trying to earn a coin. Don't call him a grifter for it. Defend your position that you're not. Point out how unreasonable that is. And definitely, as you have done it, it's your main overriding point. Otherwise, I wouldn't have covered this. It is projection. Pick points that people can't disagree with you on. I hate to do that. I don't know Level Earth Observer. I shouldn't really be offering him advice. This is his bag, right?
A grift. Wow. Anything else? Oh, coming soon. The Secret. What have we got here? This is a joke. The ISM secret course and coaching. $400 pretty much. What are we getting for this? The ISM secret course and coaching. Coming soon. Are you ready for your life to change for the better? I have something special that I could never figure out how to disclose. I decided to let this information out to a few select people. What a joke. $400 for Jirenism's secret course. Yet the man thinks demonstrable reality is wrong. So he's got the logic of a pebble, projects left, right and centre, accusing someone who's never asked for a penny of being a grifter and a liar. Yet when you look at their shop, suddenly this flat earth...
He could have just ended it there. When you juxtapose it with his shop, you sink into his level, really, you are. You don't buy it. What's that? Too much? In the pre-show, we were talking about tech stuff, right? And one of the guys that we were talking about was a guy called Frame Chasers. This guy does tech consultations. He tunes people's computers. And he works with some quite large game streamers, typically Call of Duty game streamers, that are earning money. They're doing it professionally to earn money. And as a result, they don't care about spending 10 grand on a computer if it gives them just a tiny little edge, right? Now, with that in mind, this guy is overrun with people who want him to tune their computer. And originally, he was charging $100 to do a consultation. And sure enough, people come along and go, well, that's outrageous. Just tell me. They go, no, it's $100. Now, over the course of about 2 years, he went from $100 to $200 to $300 to $400 to $500. And eventually he was going, I don't want to do them. They just take up too much time. They're too much aggravation. I still do, because typically I'll do them off the back of somebody who spent several £1,000s on another computer They don't know how to fix it. They need the help, and they're in my Discord server chatting away. I pity them, and then I'll charge them $500. You're like, why wouldn't you? He's got knowledge, he's got information, he can charge $500. More power to you. You know what I mean? It's like, if you've got a service and people think it's too expensive, they won't buy it. Yeah? It's just that simple. Anyway, the point isn't that there's a comparable service that you can say is perfectly legitimate and justifiable easily. And if you don't want to pay that price, you won't pay it. And if you want the service, you will. It's only when you start calling it a grift as swell that suddenly we're just as bad as them. We're all crabs in a bucket now, yanking each other down. There isn't that much more of this video to go. Shall I play the rest of it?
Wannabe legend is offering consultations, offering dinner Zoom chats, and all sorts of silly stuff.
Why is it silly? Good for him. If he can be successful doing that, it means I can be. It's like when I promote Simon Dan. So like when I've given out Level Earth Observer's link. I'll do that now. If it was a Simon Dan video, I'd be doing this as well. Go and let Simon Dan know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Help Simon Dan in the YouTube algorithm where we get no YouTube help. The hope being that Simon Dan would put our link. In other words, I'm promoting what I hope will be paid forward. Yeah? Well, if I hope that in future there would come a time where I could charge for my time and people would want to pay me for it, I would hope that there wasn't some guy behind me going, you decried the idea of having an elevation angle come from a tangent plane, therefore you're a grifter. You know, when I put it into the context of a globe defender saying that his indefensible position has been ignored, therefore I'm a grifter, it's like, that's not reasonable. You know, attack my argument. Don't suddenly say because I charge money for consultations, because people do want to learn about, I don't know, elevation angles. Let's say I did it tomorrow. People really wanted to grill me on how it works. Not that I'm an expert, but I'm just using that as an example. Well, then I'd hope that I would, you know, justify my $200 that I was charging that person, and they left happy. And that's all I'd hope for. But if I start saying, well, Jiren's a grifter because he's charging $400 for consultations and Zoomed meals, well, so what? Good for him. If he can do it, so can I. Good, that's great. It's another avenue I might be exploring in a few years' time. Anyway, anybody else got any comment based on what I've said? No? I thought the crabs in a bucket comment at the very least would get people talking.
Vote with your money. Don't buy what you don't want, simply.
He came in a bit garbled. Say that again, Craig.
Yeah, vote with your money. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If nobody buys it, it'll go away.
Yeah. That's the other thing when people see a high price on something. You're like, it's outrageous, he's earning all this money. No, he's not. Like putting something on eBay for double the price it's actually worth. And you look at it and go, oh, that person's overcharging. You're like, no. No one's going to buy it. If the price isn't right, people won't pay. You know, you vote with your feet, don't you? Oh, well, that's too expensive.
He was just pointing out. He was just pointing out that Jiren is the one that's worried. That's all he was doing.
Yes, yeah, and everything up to that last sentence he said, I agreed with. It's only when you start saying, you're calling me a grifter and saying I'm a liar and there's no evidence that I'm a grifter, I don't earn any money from this, and I'm not a liar, there's been no evidence presented. You're the grifter. Yeah, oh, God, now you've lowered the standard, haven't you? I hate being critical of a Level Earth Observer, because it's a bit of a crap sandwich for you, I'm afraid, mate, if you're listening. Sorry. Do you agree? It's bad to sink to the level of the person that's projecting in this instance?
Yes.
I think he could have phrased it differently.
Yeah, I just pray that if I am in the position that Jiren is in and charging time for my services, not that I've got any to charge for at the moment, that I had happy customers, that people gave me money for what I had to offer and left happy and said thank you at the end, and I thanked them for their money and I paid my mortgage with it. That would be wonderful. So it would be hypocritical or crass or whatever word you want to use if I start doing the same as Level Earth Observer is doing and going, yeah, look at Jiren with his grift. Well, I don't see it that way. Out to Tom. Says, can't believe Nathan grifted me. 2 membership. Was it a grift getting you to join as a member, was it, Tom? Just put that on screen. I can put hand on heart and say I'm not conning anybody. You know, I put education under the name of each show. We go through things that you can verify for yourself, as much as that sounds so cliche.
Yeah, well, see, Nathan, I think you do have information that people need. And you can sell your time one-on-ones, breaking down what logical fallacies are, breaking down how Earth is measured flat. That's good, useful knowledge.
It's just not good marketing. So for 100 years, people were trying to best Coca-Cola by trying to invent something that was better tasting and cheaper. And nobody even came close. 100 years, right? So who do you think actually came close to beating Coca-Cola at their own game? Red Bull.
Fanta.
Red Bull. Right?
Red Bull. Oh.
Yeah, costs twice as much as Coke, comes in a tiny can, tastes like garbage. Yeah? They didn't try and do what they did. They created a new market that was more expensive. Okay? So I've had, this isn't a recent criticism, but I have had this in the course of my flat Earth career. People pointing out that you need to make what you have to offer more valuable. Yeah, at the moment you're offering it up for nothing. So let's just take that under our wing while we go into this next explanation in defense of Jiren. So you've got information and you offer it up to an audience and you get trolls and people saying you're an idiot because there's no cost to them to come to listen, to criticize, to see no value in what you have to offer. Then you go, well, sod that. I'm going to put this behind a paywall so that the information that I offer to people can only have value ascribed to it because it's now got a $1 price tag on it. Yeah? Suddenly, your information has got an actual real world value. Rather than zero, it's got a $1 note value attached to it. Yeah? Well, then, suddenly, like with a university education that costs money, people ascribe more worth to that's actually costs them money. So from a psychological point of view, if you want people to value your information, then putting a cost on the information isn't necessarily a bad way to go. Now, I haven't taken that approach. I don't pander to the people who say it should all be free, you shouldn't be making money off the truth at all. Well, I like making money off my YouTube channel. I'm a YouTuber who talks about the truth and talks about measurements for free. But that's not for everyone. People have got different marketing strategies for their information. And in this particular arena, that's all we've got. All Jiren has to sell is his information and his time.
Well, considering his information, he's going to be in a poorhouse soon then, because he don't have any information. What information does he have? This moron is going to Antarctica. For what?
To affirm the consequent. BG says you will BG says you will not get one dime from me. Thank you for the 19.99 super chat. Very funny. Okay, there's another video I'm going to recommend. Okay, so this was off the back of yesterday's show. Where is it? Is that it? No, that's not it. No, that's not it either. Oh, where's it gone? I thought I had it all queued up. Brian's Logic has released a video, and it's about... This is going to really bug me. I could have swore I had this queued up. Right, talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Brian has got a video that I do want to share, and I need to dig it out because I don't seem to have it to hand.
Yeah, I listened to it this morning. Very good. Go right to the point.
Hello, William.
Okay. So this is a link to Brian's Logics video, which is Will Duffy, Pitch Data, Final Experiment. That's the title of the video. Obviously, as always, please let Brian know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, and point him in the direction of the show that he's frequently on. Hopefully Brian will put a link to my video if he ever makes anything in response to me when he's not just talking to me directly. Anywho, this is literally as a direct response to what we were discussing yesterday about pitch data. So he's put it out in an official capacity, Brian, that is. However, there is a call to action at the end of his video. Now, he hasn't explicitly stated it as a call to action, but I'm going to repackage it as a call to action. Because Brian suggests that if the information's not forthcoming, and there's a whole bunch of trolls in the chat of Brian's video saying, it won't prove anything, it's not needed, it doesn't need to be presented. Anyway, Brian has suggested that there's going to be a whole bunch of flat earthers that are going to be very irritated if this data's not forthcoming. And I'm going to agree. But that is in essence a call to action. A preemptive call to action, depending on what is forthcoming after Brian's request, let's call it. Polite request. Far more polite than we had at the Isle of Man. I mean, we demanded all sorts of stuff. Called idiots and all sorts of names if we didn't provide it on the spot. Anyway, Brian's video is whizzing its way by in the live stream chat now, so go and check it out, give it a like, and if nothing else, amuse yourself with the high degree of triggeredness in the ball-believing section of Brian's comments, because it is hilarious. You know, endless paragraphs that explain why his call for information isn't needed, and so on and so forth. Very, very amusing. I must admit, I spent a good chunk of time in there today just chuckling to myself. And then after reading like 3 paragraphs, I go, God, this is tedious. Responding with a non sequitur just to keep myself amused. You know, it is like they used to do with us. I'm having fun. Right, so do we actually, should I play a bit of Brian's video? There was some juicy bits in it.
I thought that's what you were going to do.
I'm going to play a bit of it, yeah.
Is get the pitch data, pay for the pitch data, right? And, you know, Wolfie will get it for you. He knows where it is. He can get it. It's just off the black box, whatever. All these things, whatever it is. All these things can be got. It just cost a bit of money. Money I didn't have. Wolfie wouldn't get it. None of these other people will get it. So maybe you will get it. Or you will get it. Because this is far greater than what you're trying to do. This will absolutely prove it. And the reason, because it can't be falsified. That's the problem. Whereas what you're doing, you know what I mean, is subjective. This is objective. Number 5, data cannot be falsified. So if the data that you're given, that you pay for, right, comes back and it's not what is experienced by commercial pilots or pilots in general, then it'll be obvious that that data is falsified. So if the pitch data is showing when it's read to be incorrect, then it'll be spotted immediately by every pilot. Every commercial pilot in the world is, you know what I mean, will be able to spot that's wrong. That's not the pitch data. That's not the pitch that we hold or the pitch changes that we make throughout a flight. Celestial observation. No need to have something that's subjective because people can't. Like, I mean, I know for definite that the celestials are a mystery to us. So whatever is happening in the celestials means nothing to me as far as the earth I live upon and I experience. So whatever is happening in the celestials means nothing to me. But if you show me pitch data that's verified, that can be verified by every commercial pilot and every airline company in the world to be correct and true, and that does show that that pitch data matches the corrections that you would have to make to fly around the globe of radius 3,959 miles.
I think I've missed my mark by about a minute, but in a minute he's going to be doing the call to action I mentioned earlier, which is why I buzzed through to this particular section. I wanted him to explicitly outline what he's asking for, which he did at the first section. Now he's going to explain the call to action. I still want you to go and like this comment and subscribe to Brian and all that stuff as well. Just because I played this section to you doesn't mean you don't need to go and watch the whole video. It's a very good video.
Then I can't argue with that, can I? I can't argue. I can't talk about anything subjective at that point. It's purely objective. It is what it is. But the same for you. If it doesn't show that pilots are correcting for our curvature,
Here we go.
then you have an objective truth. There's no way around it. You've got to accept it's flat. So, Pastor Duffy, this is what I'm requesting from you. And I have to say that if you do not go along with this plan, then not just me, but basically the whole of Flat Earth will have zero trust in you. Because this absolutely proves or disproves. Your plan does not. Disproves or disproves. So if you decide to not go along with this, you decide to ignore it, or you decide to do whatever, right, that isn't this, right, then nobody will have any trust in you. Because that.
Okay, you've got the general gist. Divergent Droid stuck a link to the video in the info box, or in the live stream chat, I should say. So check it out. Go and let Brian know you've got his support and you've understood the concepts. You should understand it, as we discussed it at length yesterday. But Brian's laid it out in explicit terms and starts the video by addressing it specifically to Will Duffy, so that there's no ambiguity about what's being asked for, who's being asked for it, what's been requested and not forthcoming in the past, why this is an appropriate time to ask for it of Will Duffy. And yeah, Brian basically lays it all out in pretty much the same way he did yesterday, but like I say, directed at the individual rather than in a discussion with me. So yeah, hopefully people have gone along.
Nathan?
Yes?
Just saying, like, well, I'm just thinking, you know, you know as well as I do that, and I'm sure these people that Brian mentioned this to, we all know what Brian's talking about, and we know it's true. But aren't these the same people that in the next breath will say, well, you know, the plane's not accounting for curvature because it's moving with the atmosphere and gravity's keeping it, you know, round the ball? Isn't that their rebuttals, not their rebuttals to this? And then we get into Coriolis and all that, obviously, but then I'm sure these people will just be saying the same thing.
Yeah. Any more remarks on pitch data with Brian's logic? Okie dokie. Well, we've only got 12 minutes left of the show, so I don't necessarily think I want to get into one of the other
Did
videos.
you say?
Go on.
Did you say Jiren's bitch data?
No, I said pitch data. Has anybody got any more comments on pitch data or Brian's logic? Like, what he's talking about currently, as in him and his ideas, because he's not here.
Maybe I said it.
Said what?
Jiren has bitch data.
I heard you the first time. I tried to brush past it subtly, but you obviously want to repeat it. Very good. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, everyone. I was going to join anyway, but I heard one deck saying there that what the ballers would say is that gravity takes care of it and it moves with the atmosphere and all this other rubbish. No, that's the thing about the pitch. It's connected directly to lift. And the pilot can't ever have the nose of the plane below horizontal. So it doesn't matter what claims they make about gravity or anything else, the plane must keep an above horizontal position. That position will change in accordance with the horizontal, depending on their airspeed. If they want, so if a plane's pilot wants to hold an altitude and they want to go faster, they will go from let's say a +3 or +4 degree pitch above horizontal to a +2 degree pitch above horizontal. And if they want to go slower, they will go from a +3 or +4 degree pitch above horizontal to a +5 or +6 degree a pitch above horizontal. And holding that's how they would hold the same altitude and go faster or slower. No matter what they do, when they're going from point A to point B, once they reach cruising altitude, they must keep the nose of that plane above horizontal. which means that's to generate adequate lift, which means that anything that anyone has to say after that means nothing, because you can't fly a horizontal straight line around the globe, and that's it. And that's what makes it so devastating. That's why when I brought up the lift effect to Wolfie, he already was trying to have nothing to do with me and go on with rubbish when I was talking about the pitch. But as soon as I brought up the lift effect, right, that was the end of it. That was the end of Wolfie. He had nothing more to do with me. He only wanted to troll me then. He didn't want to have any conversation about anything. He didn't want to nothing, because he knew then he was caught.
So, Brian, you said cruising altitude. So you think it's going to dawn on them that if they're flying to Antarctica and they're at a cruising altitude of, say, 30,000 feet, and they're going along 30,000 feet for, let's say, like 15, 20 miles, that Earth is flat? You think that'll dawn on them?
But see, the pitch data is about proving the situation. So something I have to say, Bev said, right, a couple of years ago, and he's correct. We're being given the impression that there's ridiculous amounts of anti-flat earthers. And there may have been a lot of them some years ago, but there isn't now. So it doesn't matter what these anti-flat earthers have an issue with, because they're in the absolute minority, actually. Kind of like us. We're growing and they're actually shrinking in numbers. But the thing about it is these people would still have to accept it, because if Qantas have to admit, yeah, that's the pitch data, end of. British Airways, yeah, that's the pitch data. American Airlines, yeah, that's the pitch data. Cathay Pacific, yeah, that's the pitch data. Lufthansa, yeah, that's the pitch data. KLM, yeah, that's the pitch data. Air France, yeah, that's the pitch data. You know what I mean? It goes on and on and on. It's like, that is the pitch data. It does not fit the globe. It only fits one thing, and that's that they're flying over a stationary plane. That's the end of that. There is no coming back from it. It's totally objective. And if Will Duffy does not go and get it and does not go down this road, then you can be sure he's not to be trusted. You can be sure he's not interested in actually proving something. He's interested in trying to give people like Craig and MC Tune and all these people.
Before you jump the gun,
Exactly.
hold on. Before you jump the gun, no, when we were covering it, it happened to be in a bit. You were there on QE show yesterday, weren't you, Brian?
I was there, yeah.
Yeah, we covered a bit more, and there was a point where he specifically mentioned, whilst detailing it to the Tartaria guys, I've forgotten what they're called now. He was saying the logistics was an aspect of what they would be doing and what would be involved. Okay, well, he's disclaimed that now. So, it's not like you're asking for something that's outside the remit of what he's already suggested will be part and parcel of what he's doing. Now, he's not giving us independent and dependent variables, but he is telling us he's dealing with the logistics. So, okay, that's part of it then. Good.
And would pitch data come underneath logistics? Because pitch data would have to be taken from the black box.
Logistics is moving stuff from one place to another, Brian.
Yeah, I know that, but would pitch data come under that?
Will pitch data be involved in moving the cargo, from one place to another if the other place is Antarctica and the starting point isn't? What do you think? Yes, it will.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just wondering. But the thing about it is what I suggested was for him to not do that at all. To totally just forget about all that and go straight for the pitch data. That was my suggestion. Now, he probably won't do that. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if he's seen the video, because for some, here's something strange. 10 days ago, I brought out another video about the fraud that is these Antarctic 24-hour sun videos, right? And how so many of them can't be trusted because there's so many frauds out there. And they would, just a basic video on basically pointing out that there's none of these videos that can be trusted. And I gave it some reasons. And I got a load of comments, but a load of views and a load of likes, right? I got almost 60 likes. 56 likes or something like that on that video, and almost 1,000 views. And like that may not be, that's not big for a lot of people. But I have only 1,400 subscribers. So that's like you putting out a video and getting 20,000 views within 10 days, if you understand what I mean. So it's not bad, not bad. And a lot of my videos are going that way. I'm getting obviously a lot of trolls, but I'm getting a lot of likes and a lot of views. My past two videos, now maybe the last one, the one I just made prior to this, asking, the ballers is level 3-dimensional. Now, I actually thought that would get way, way, way more views and traction, considering what it is and how annoying it would be to the ballers. But it didn't. And I went, okay. But this one, I would have thought, because my other Antarctica videos addressing this issue got loads of views. I have two others. Loads of views. This one, it's like there's hardly any likes on it. There is some likes, but not comparison to what I thought there would be. And views. It's like very strange. 10 days ago was the last time I attacked this Antarctica thing. And now my views and my likes have gone down to the bottom of the barrel. I've gone back. It's like I'm making a video back in 2019.
Okay, I don't follow your point.
The point being is that I find it very strange that my sudden view count and like count has gone down the drain in 10 days. Now, it's either flat earthers out there who are having an issue with me, which is possible, or it's something else, the YouTube issue.
Okay. I mean, if you say so, fine. I don't
Well,
want to
hang
get
on a
focused
minute.
on that.
Hang on now. Before you make me into some kind of conspiracy theorist, that's a real thing that actually happens. Like, I can't believe you tried to do that to me.
I haven't tried to do
That's
anything.
a real,
I'm just saying
that's a real thing that's happening. YouTube are actively suppressing us.
Yeah, I'm not
And I
disagreeing.
just found it a bit strange that 10 days ago I made a video. It's my second video attacking this Antarctica thing. And suddenly my next two videos, basically, it's like they bombed. They shouldn't have, considering the topics.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's a very hot topic, Brian. I hear exactly what you're saying. Everybody's talking about it in the community, right? And now all of a sudden you got no likes and no views. Well, what's going on?
I think I saw that I had 20 likes or 21 likes after 10 hours. Now that would be way higher. That'd be double that. That should be double that.
Yeah,
And the views should be way more. Yeah, the views, I had 188 views or something like that. I should have way more views than that. If I go by my trend up to 10 days ago, the likes and the views were increasing and increasing and increasing all the time. Now I'm gone backwards, as if I only had 500 subscribers or something like that.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
don't make any money off YouTube. Do you know what I mean? So this is not something I'm watching because of some financial reason. I have no financial gain from YouTube.
Okay. Right, we are definitely going to cover the other video tomorrow, which is Whitsit and Eddie Bravo with Professor Dave. So we'll cover that tomorrow. Anything else while we're still live?
I didn't get an answer on the meteorite that hit New York.
That's the first I've heard of it, Neil. You said it didn't hit. Make up your mind.
Well, they said it burned up, but the debris went in past the Statue of Liberty into the ocean.
So there is debris then. So it did hit. It hit the Statue of Liberty then.
No, it went past it, like over the Statue of Liberty into the water. That's what they're saying.
I can't get a straight answer. Do we have debris that struck or not?
Yes, the water.
Does that mean no? It's claimed to have hit the water. We haven't got any.
I'm telling you what I read, that It burned up, but there was debris. It went past the Statue of Liberty into the water. I don't know if they retrieved any of it.
Okay. Well, I'll have to look into it, Neil. It's very interesting. Mighty Mush, you're off mute. Did you want to add something? Actually, I won't. Right, I'm going to turn my lights back off and ask Mush to.
Yes.
You there, Mush?
Yeah, I'm here. How am I off mute?
I don't know, but you are. Anyway, I've got a question for you. It's good timing. Right. So, Brian's take is to ask for the flight data, right? He wants pitch data for the journey. He wasn't here when you put your 2 pennyworth in earlier. Can you just reiterate your 2 pennyworth to Brian just to see what he's got to say about it?
Pretty much anyone who for 1 second thought that anyone's going down to Antarctica, joke is on them. As short as I can put it.
You catch that, Brian? Can you pop yourself on mute now? Mute, Mush.
I can't.
There we go. You have. Did you hear that,
Okay,
Brian?
got it.
I can't. Well, I don't understand why you're saying that to me.
He's saying they ain't going.
How does he know?
Well, that's not the point. The point is, it's just another take on it, right? I postulated this in QE Live yesterday when I said, oh, is it going to just be another Greater Sapien moment? It'll just fade into obscurity. Ha, ha, ha. Well, now Mush is saying the same thing. And I put it to him that there's a methodology psychos use, which is future faking. It has the same effect to tell you that you're going to do something in the future. The excitement and joy and elation you get off your victim is fulfilled in that moment when you tell them, oh, yeah, we'll do that in the future. And then you just don't have to do it. You've already achieved your ends. And you'll get narcissistic supply when people moan that you haven't done it.
It's also called breadcrumbing in relationships. You tell someone you're going to do something, fulfill a need, and it never gets fulfilled.
Yeah,
Brian, let me ask you a question.
I'm asking Brian.
Yeah, I understand that. But there's a claim out there by a guy called Will Duffy, who supposedly has a lot of money. Sorry about the background noise. Who's claiming he wants to put money towards something that will prove or disprove whether the Earth is flat or a globe. Now, I want what I put forward shared with him and shared as far and wide as possible and promoted as far and wide as possible. I want every flat earther to be asking Will Duffy to get the pitch data. He can do the Antarctica. He can claim he's doing the Antarctica thing if he wants, but the pitch data is what will prove or disprove it. Right? So then the whole plan changed. I don't care whether he's going to Antarctica or not. There's a claim on the table that this guy wants to pay money and prove whether it's A or B, and there is the thing that will prove it. And if he tries to go against it, it just shows him up to be a fraud sooner than maybe he wants it to. That's the only outcome we get out of it.
Okay, so there's a link in the live stream chat right now to Brian's video. So click on it now, get a grasp of what Brian's putting down, hopefully comprehend it, and then yeah, if need be, when the time comes, the pressure can be ramped up. But you have to be aware of what Brian's asking. So yeah, go and check out his video.
Brian, let me ask you a question. I know you don't like the chat, but there's a moron in here that says even if you got the pitch data, you wouldn't be able to understand it.
Yeah, does this person think that I'm just going to try and read the pitch data? No, I have pilots and people who are airline captains ready to read it, and there's other people who need it. And Wolfie knew that. So, and how does he know I wouldn't be able to read the pitch data? Has he ever read the pitch data? Does he know my competency? I can't say the word in reading pitch data. You know what I mean?
Just roll with it, roll into it, right? Maybe just roll into it. Okay, maybe I wouldn't understand it at first. Maybe I'd have to figure out what I'm looking at. Like anything when you first look at it. So what? Straight up ad hom.
Yeah, but it's a hand wave. It's complete nonsense. I've come across it hundreds of times at this stage when I brought up the pitch data in the past. You wouldn't even know how to read it, blah, 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 blah. I don't have to know how to read it. Every pilot and every airline company in the world knows how to read it, which is part of what it's in my video. That is what makes it objective. It can't be falsified. Everyone can get it verified. Everyone. That's the thing about it. That's why I don't go into chat, because you have to deal with people like that.
Yeah, but there's also
He's a moron.
there's good fun going on in there too. There's a guy called Brett, and he says the ether is measured flat. he says you can't get an elevator angel from a flat baselines. The Earth is flat. 100 people watching. Brilliant stuff. Please share the show if you haven't done so already. Smash that share button. It's only a couple of clicks. We're having fun. We might stay live a little bit longer. Now you're all in the mood.
Let's put the pressure on Pastor Duffy, Mr. Pastor. Let's put the pressure on him. He came out with being the big man with his big plan. Well, now here is a better plan. One that will absolutely achieve the aims he claims that he wants.
You know who we need?
And he's willing to put money up into it. Go on.
We need. I can't believe we're going to say this. We need a Sleeping Warrior. Right, he's got a particular skill set. And I think that in this circumstance, Sleeping Warrior would be encouraged because he's been on the receiving end of the proactive stance that Will Duffy's taking. What do I mean by that? Well, I referenced it earlier. When we were down at the Isle of Man, we were being made demands of left, right and centre and deemed completely unreasonable if we didn't immediately take them seriously and offer up all and sundry in the kitchen sink at the behest of our opponents. So with that in mind, if Sleeping Warrior was here, which is not at the moment, his particular skill set could be put to work in terms of the justification and poking the bear, basically, riling up the audience, which is what you're trying to do. Now, I'm not saying you're not good at that. Well, let's just say
Anthony's
you're not good at
better.
that. Well, you could be better, and that is literally Sleeping Warrior's skill set, isn't it? I'm smiling because I can just picture I can imagine the kind of things that he would do with this, because there's a lot of fun to be had here, right? We were dreading the endeavours that we took part in proactively at the Isle of Man because of what we will now have a lot of fun with, right? The demands that can be placed on the proactive attempt to prove this or that. All right, you're going out of your way to do work. Well, let's start ramping up that workload. Justifiably so, lest you be a scumbag liar. So yeah, it's just, do you not see what I mean about this being right up Sleeping Warrior's alley?
Yeah, I would be totally fine with Anthony taking this and running with it, because and everyone. But I know Anthony would be good at it because he's good at getting the point to where it needs to be. I don't know how to describe it. It's just that Will Duffy could decide to ignore my video or claim he never saw it. That's why I'm looking for everyone to try their best to share it with him. Oh, actually, Nathan, you've been in contact with him. You had some conversation with him.
No.
Somewhere.
No, he left a comment on one of my videos and I asked him for his independent and dependent variable for the hypothesis for his claimed experiment. And then what I got in return was a bunch of trolls attempting to do it for him.
Right, and he has a channel then?
Yeah.
Right. Could you send me or put the link for your channel underneath my video or something, and I'll send my video to him or something? Because I didn't know what the story was with the guy. He's a bit of a. I just thought he was a bit of an anomaly. I just want him to see the video and have to address it.
Will it take?
That's all that needs to happen.
Will it take longer than 15 minutes?
Or will what take longer?
I'm just trying to price up how much I'm going to charge you. $3.
Yeah, okay. $2.50, and we'll do it.
I'm sure
Yeah.
one of the moderators is on the case as we speak. I have good people who will undoubtedly hear that and go, "Oh, I can go into the guy's link. Maybe I'll get it in on the live show."
Yeah, I'm useless at stuff like that. Absolutely useless at finding someone's channel or whatever. Useless. I just go, that person can't be
It's
found.
nigh on impossible.
Walk away without even trying.
Right, number one, if you're a flat earther and you've got a channel, then there's a good chance that typing anything that's directly connected or the exact title won't get you to their channel or video, right? We know that. We're suppressed. So when just recently a couple of people have kind of touched to say that they want unbanning because they've been unjustly banned. And I'm like, what do you think I'm going to do? Type your name into Google and just have your channel name appear? Number one, there's probably 20 channels with the exact same name, as original as you think you are. Number two, if I did manage to pick out which one it was, I've then got to go figure my way to the homepage, figure my way to the flag, and then unban the channel, unhide the channel. But I've got to be in their channel to do that. And if they just say, "Can you unban me?" You're like, no, that would require an hour's worth of attempted research to try and track you down. Like, if you actually do want to be unbanned, like, email me and give me your channel link, like the link to your homepage, especially if you haven't got any videos. I mean, obviously, if you've got a video, I can just find my way to your homepage from that. But, you know, people are saying, "Can you unban me?" It's like, well, no, probably not, unless you've emailed me with a link to your homepage. I just, you know, it sometimes literally isn't possible to find them. I'm sure Will Duffy's different. He's got videos, so that's different.
But can you not do that in YouTube Studio?
Do what?
Just unban people that are banned.
No! I was explaining this to QE the other day. No, in YouTube Studio, the system's completely changed. It's all connected back. It's back engineered like, what was it? Hangouts was connected to, I've forgotten the name of the Discord equivalent that was the back programming bit for all of YouTube and Google Plus and Hangouts on Air, and it was all interconnected by this back office. I can't remember what it's called, because we used to surreptitiously refer to it as the back office, so people didn't figure out what we were doing, because people would figure out how to get into the back office and could kick me out of my own show when I was using Hangouts on Air. Do you remember? Were you around then?
I do remember that. I do remember that happening on the show. I do. Yeah.
Well, that has become the overriding system that is used for YouTube comments and banning people, basically. Now, the net result of that is if you want to unban somebody, you can't just go to your YouTube Studio, community settings, community, and then go to the list of people that are banned. That will give you a list of people that were banned 6 years ago, but it won't. It certainly won't give you a list of the person that was banned 10 minutes ago in the live chat, accidentally. If that happens, you've got to find that person's homepage, go to the little flag, and unhide channel. That's how you have to do it. Which means that there is no blanket way to just unban people. You have to do it by individual. Man, this is boring. 102 people listening to us describe YouTube admin. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's my fault. It's my fault entirely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, look, back on track. I might even make a short video. I put it towards Duffy because he can't then say a short video is a minute, so can't tell me that you couldn't give it a minute. You know, I just want as many people as possible to share this with him and to promote the idea, right? Promote the idea that we want to pitch data, and that's what will prove or disprove it. And he can pay for that. And it's, you know, nobody needs to go to Antarctica then. Nobody needs to fall down a glacier or whatever. There's no need for any of that. Nobody needs to take time off work.
No. You don't want to be that guy. Don't tell them what they don't need to do. I've just spent like 20 minutes apologising for skirting it with Level Earth Observer. It's like, you should be doing it this way. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm having to say it. It's like, do whatever you feel best. If you feel that it's unjust being called a grifter and it's projection, say it. But then I have to disagree, and I can only compare it to what he's just said. But, you know, just draw the line, don't you? You have to draw the line somewhere. In this instance, we want people to see this video, Brian's video, so you know what's coming, so you know what legally speak potentially sleeping warrior will put out if he's brought on board and likes the idea of this poking. I reckon he will. What do you think?
He might do.
I'm trying to send him a message.
Just on the video, I make a list of stuff. I do list things that are reasons it makes far more sense to do what I'm saying than to do what he's about to do. And I do give reasons like nobody needs to take time off work, no one's likely to get injured because nobody has to go anywhere. You know, I give all the reasons that make it a much more solid plan.
AQE.
So AQE.
Oh. Hello. Yeah, I got all that. I'm just saying, it's like you can put your point in terms of what you want when he does what he's saying he'll do without saying, well, you don't even have to do what you're saying you're going to do. It's like when the gardener comes and he's like, well, I'm just going to trim this tree back and I'm going to edge the lawn. And you're like, well, I'm going to bring in a tarmacker. You're like, well, that means I'm surplus to requirements. You're telling me you don't want me to do what I do because you want me to do something that isn't the thing I'm doing. Like, if it's in conjunction with what he's doing, you might be a bit more receptive than you saying, your whole idea of going to Antarctica. Well, sod all of that. just get me the pitch data for any flight.
No, see, this is the problem. This is the problem with that.
I'll say to Brian, don't tell him not to go to Antarctica. Think of all the wonderful curvature that they would have to negotiate going to Antarctica. Think of the amount of rotation that they would have to negotiate on their way to Antarctica. Why would you ever tell them not to go to Antarctica? Please fly to Antarctica and get that picture.
As they're flying,
I have a reason.
As they're flying level altitude, 30,000 feet,
I have a reason.
Yeah,
I have a reason. Listen to me. You need to think these things out a bit, right? They could come up with any nonsense data and throw it at us if they see a 24-hour Antarctic sun. Because no matter what nonsense to throw at us, right, it might not be pitch data at all or made up pitch data. It doesn't matter. The public won't get to hear about it because it'll be drowned out by their 24-hour Antarctic sun, and flat earthers are drowned out and seen as being fools. So I don't want them to try and do that with some ad hoc flight from wherever to Antarctica, from Chile to Antarctica or whatever it is. I don't want them to do that. I don't want them to be able to do that, because that's what they'll do. They're frauds, and they will throw nonsense at us. It doesn't mean anything. There won't be pitch data. And when we destroy publicly the state...
Sorry. I just wanted to say that since the 60s, since they've put, a research station in Antarctica, quote unquote, with all the scientists, quote unquote, out there doing research, they don't have any authentic videos of a 24-hour sun. So we've never seen it. Just to put that out there.
Yeah, I understand that. But what I don't want to have happen is for them to go to Antarctica, right, see a 24-hour sun, and then throw any old data at us, that when we cry out that this data is not the real data, nobody gets to hear it because we're completely drowned out by their 24-hour sun. So I don't want that happening. I want the pitch data to be from official sources, and I want them to completely avoid the 24-hour sun thing because it doesn't prove or disprove anything. And I want them to go with the pitch data. Whereas if I just ask them for the pitch data for the pitch data for the flight to Antarctica, he can say, well, all my money's going into Antarctica, so I can't pay for the pitch data. Or he can say, okay, I'll get you some pitch data, and he just throws any old rubbish at me when he's showing the whole world a 24-hour Antarctic sun. Do you know what I mean? And me or anyone else complaining that that's not the correct pitch data, no one's going to hear it. No one's going to care because as far as the whole world is going to be told, then the globe is proven. That's what they're going to be told. And I don't want that. What I want him to do is either go along with the plan I have put forward, which will prove the Earth to be flat, or to avoid it, which will prove him to be fraudulent. And then his whole plan falls apart. So it's a trap either way. But he's claiming that he wants to put money forth and prove or disprove this situation, this pastor Duffy. So we'll see. This is what I'm wanting to do. Okay, you're saying this, then here you go. Here is the real plan. If you say you're really interested, what's he going to do? The best he'll do to avoid it is to not do the Antarctica thing, not do what I'm suggesting, and try and come up with some other nonsense. And then nothing ever happens. That's what is likely to happen. But the point is that if he doesn't do the pitch data thing, that means that he's doing his best to make sure that he doesn't prove a flat Earth. If it's a globe, the pitch data will show
I
it.
understand your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, chocolate.
No, I'm just saying I do understand your point.
You can give no trust to these people. That's my fear of it. You know, that's why I didn't bring what he's doing in Antarctica into it, or trying to say the plane. Now, you know, we could add that in if he decides to do the Antarctica thing, but it's not going to mean anything if he sees a 24-hour sun. No one's going to pay attention to pitch data. No one's going to want to hear about it for 10 or 15 years. That's the problem.
Well, that will be we'll lean on it. You know, if they're suggesting that their antipodal assumption is validated by the 24-hour sun, then we'll say, well, we need to confirm the antipodal assumption, don't we? We need that pitch data, Brian, to confirm the antipodal assumption.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to come up with the pitch data then. He'd say, well, all my money's been already spent on to this Antarctica thing. I don't have the money to pay for the pitch data. Because that's what he's going to come up with. Oh, pitch data costs a lot of money.
Okay, well then he
hasn't.
Okay, well then he's just affirmed the consequent and begged the question. So so you couldn't afford to do anything other than assume the thing you're trying to prove. So you had to assume that you arrived on the bottom of a ball. Okay. Well, what we will require is proof that you arrived on the bottom of a ball. Because showing a 24-hour sun doesn't prove you're on the bottom of a ball. It proves there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Now, if you can confirm that you did arrive on the bottom of a ball, we will require validation of that by way of the pitch data.
Yeah, listen. If all comes to all, that's what I'll be asking. But I would prefer that he was put under pressure to go along with the pitch data plan and completely ignore the Antarctica plan. Because that will prove or disprove. There won't be any nonsense in Antarctica then. That's all I'm saying. Now, I understand your point, and I understand chocolate, and what Eli's saying I take on board. I don't think they're going to see a 24-hour sun, because there's never been any evidence shown of it. But I have to leave that little bit of doubt in where there might be. And I have to be able to go, right, what's going to happen if they see a 24-hour sun? They're going to be jumping with joy and telling the whole world the globe's proven. And whatever data they throw at us, even if it's the real data, right? What will that become? An afterthought somewhere. Well, you know what was interesting about that thing? That the pitch data didn't fit a globe Earth. You know, 5 years later, on some random YouTube show. You know, when they're talking about that situation.
I'm going to read out some of these super chats. Sorry to cut you off. Shout out to Phoenix Rising. Says, Jiren has started charging for services because his channel is in decline, and I watched him talk about it on a live stream. He almost had to get a real job. His channel will implode. Oh, that's sad. Thank you for the super chat. So far, is the pitch data and telemetry data the same thing?
Pitch data, I don't know about telemetry data, but pitch data is the data that comes from the attitude indicator.
Shout out to the Flat Out Truth. It says, great shows. I just crushed the Narnia fantasy for 3 globies on 3 different posts at the same time, showing the Earth measuring flat data. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you for the super chat.
I actually don't know what telemetry data is, to be quite honest with you. But if it's not pitch data, not specifically pitch data, I'll have nothing to do with it. Because I don't want ballers being able to move to some other nonsense data that has nothing to do with the pitch. The pitch is what proves or disproves it.
Did you know Jaren's
And
channel...
I know what the pitch is going to show,
Sorry, I'm sidetracked by that first super chat. With the same sentiment as earlier, right? When I'm like, if Jiren can succeed charging for his time, then hopefully one day maybe I can too. But if it's done out of necessity because his channel's in serious decline, then I see that as a bad thing. That is to say, I constantly have to monitor my stats to fight against the suppression and reactively do things if it ever goes into decline. That is to say, I go, oh no, I've got slightly less views, or my view time to watch ratio is slightly lower this month, or the money's slightly lower than this month. I need to do something because I'm that close to the poverty line. If I don't keep a close eye on it, I just won't be making shows next month. So I'll keep a literal daily eye on it. More than a daily eye on it, if I'm honest. But anyway, the point is, if Jiren hasn't been keeping an eye on his stats and his channel's slipped into decline that he can't come back from, I put it to the audience that in this circumstance, there is a loyal audience base that's still out there. And that loyal audience base would praise Jiren if he was pointing out, as we are, the affirming the consequent fallacy that's used when you assume antipodal positioning, for example. In other words, if from this point forth, Jiren was to start taking the mickey out of them because he understands the fallacy that's being formulated to make this journey, to make a claim that requires an assumption that you're antipodal when you arrive in Antarctica, I bet he would immediately go on the upwards in statistics. Would you not agree? Started taking the mickey out of Will Duffy?
You're talking to us?
I'm asking you if...
I agree.
in the same vein, right?
Jiren to disappear completely.
Say again?
Yeah, so I'm the wrong person. I want the man to completely disappear and go into and fall into oblivion. He's not our friend. He's not on our side.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if he was singing from the same hymn sheet, he would be on our side, wouldn't he? That's why all this time, when I say, okay, I've got in touch with Jiren and I've explained the affirming the consequent fallacy to great extent with examples and got a confirmation that he understands. You're like, okay, so does he understand? Does he understand that it's actually the fallacy that's being used in Antarctica? Yeah, because that's the next step. He understands the fallacy now. Has he actually linked it to the claim of this experiment? Because that could be detrimental. What I'm saying, before it happens, when there's plenty of time on his side, and it's claimed, I don't know that this is true, this is what Phoenix Rising 86 has said, that his channel's in decline. Well, that would turn around in an instant. In the way I'm trying to gain promotion for my own channel when I ask people to go to their channel. Well, when I'm promoting the idea that we shouldn't be crabs in a bucket, seeing somebody who has been massively influential over a lot of people who are presumably with a heavy heart, and I've seen these comments go past in the chat today as well. I hadn't got them on screen, but people saying they're unsubscribing from Jiren. They go, okay, this guy has had a huge influence on all of us. You want him to disappear into the oblivion of the ether that he's promoting. I would rather he was a good ambassador for Flat Earth. There's no reason why in this circumstance he can't immediately turn it around in the way that Globebusters, Jiren himself failed to with Netflix. Now, does that mean he might have to swallow a bit of pride and acknowledge the fact that this fallacy's been, put to him by us? Maybe. It's not that I'm trying to gain some kudos or, props from Jiren. I don't need a pat on the back, but I'd rather he did do a bad job.
I'm sorry, you're being completely unrealistic. If he did that, it would be to gain back subscribers and to gain back whatever. It would only be to gain that back. First chance he gets to be back to promote Meteor and calling you a scammer. I like when it's in a position of power. What was he doing? He was ignoring us, calling you a scammer, and basically doing his best. He didn't care about you and your breadline. That guy has been a fraud from day one. And his channel does need to go into oblivion. It means, I don't care about his channel. He's not a flat earther. He means absolutely nothing to me. He is not helping this situation at all. He's hindering it. And he has probably the biggest voice, or one of the absolute biggest voices in it. And his other friends who have the other big voices are hindering it as well, like True Earth Dave and Witsit Ether Boy, you know what I mean? Pumping out rubbish. They all need to go, all of them. There is no if, buts, or maybes. There's no nice guy attitude. There's no, well, maybe if he does this, that, or the other thing. First chance he gets, he's going to stick a knife in your back again. I'm honest now. You're not. Sorry, that's my attitude on it about it. You may not want it on your show, but that's the way it is.
No, I value all of these opinions. I don't necessarily agree with everything, but it's not that I don't want it aired. Sometimes when I vehemently disagree with things, I want to be vehemently disagreeing with it. In other words, I couldn't be doing that unless it was aired. So no, I totally value your opinion. You would rather they just didn't exist because they're punting ether, and you see Jiren as being a fraud from day one. I don't view it that way.
I want to add that. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just real quick. I just want to add, listening to all this, it's a little weird for me because I want to have empathy for Jiren, right? I don't want to see anybody's channel just dwindle into nothing. That's what's happened, right? But sometimes it's a little rough to hear that, I have to have empathy for somebody or to try to convince myself to do that when I've literally been called a scammer by this very person because I simply say things like, I don't know, science proves things. And now, funny enough, now you're in the middle of a fiasco that calls itself the final experiment. It's kind of ironic to me, I guess, in some ways. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's rough for me to have empathy for him, but at the same time, I'm a human and I don't have anything personal towards him except for that. You know what I mean?
Mark Sargent, all of the flat earthers already did the one final experiment with Nat Geo. It's not an experiment. But the claim is that the horizon is the curve of the earth that boats go over. And so they tried to prove that claim true by observing the horizon at 1.2 miles with a boat with a flag beyond it. Now, in that entire video, the boat is out at 3 miles. The horizon is said to be at 1.2 miles because the cameraman was 1 foot off the ground, and the formula is 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That gives you the distance to the horizon. So when you're watching the video, you can clearly see that the boat is at 3 miles, and the horizon, well, there is no point where the sky meets the ground in that sense, because you have what we call local horizons, aka mountains and things like that, will actually block, hinder you from seeing the horizon. That's why they say go to a beach. So the bottom line is there was no horizon at 1.2 miles like they claim and like they say. They already did that. Why not just go with that?
You mean the National Geographic Black Swan that we were exposing 4 years ago?
Mm-hmm. The same people are still trying to prove it for like once and for all. You've already done it.
Well, I was thinking about that myself. Not that, but this similar concept. I have 2 different videos of the full moon in the daytime. That's an impossibility within the heliocentric paradigm. Their own paradigm makes that an impossibility. How they describe moon phases, how they have to happen, means that cannot happen. So there is an astrological observation that's already happened. I have two of them, 2 videos of the same thing from 2 different times of last year. So there's 2 observations, 2 of the celestials disproving their claim. How come none of them are jumping on that? How come none of them are going, that disproves the globe? They all completely ignored it. Why don't we promote that? And not about me, but promote that. Full moon in the daytime. Because they have all this rubbish about going to Antarctica to get a video. We already have videos that disproves their claims.
I have a similar, I also use their claim about the moon and the position of the sky. And mine concerns observations about like the moon and the waxing gibbous phase, but that's for another conversation, I guess. because I don't have any diagrams. We're not about to go into it right now with me explaining and what are you talking about? No.
I think Adam hit on that years ago as well, Eli. The waxing gibbets phase. Adam hit on that too. She talked to him about that as well.
Yeah.
But my point being is that they want to go to Antarctica to affirm a bias, right? Because that's all it's going to be. Because if they do see a 24-hour sun, it's not going to change the Earth being a flat plane, but they're going to want to claim it's proven a globe. Whereas the full moon in the daytime does completely prove all of their paradigm, or disprove, all of their paradigm. We have 2 videos of that. I mean, what more? I mean, like, my point being is that they're harping on about this observation that hasn't even happened yet. And I have there's very slim chances of it actually happening. And if it does happen, they want to then say that that's some kind of solid globe proof, and it doesn't prove either way. But the full moon in the daytime, the 2 videos of the full moon in the daytime, completely disproves their paradigm completely. So, I mean, why don't we just hit them back with that as well, and tell them to get pitch data and forget their Antarctica thing if they really want to prove or disprove. See, this is the thing: if they can hand wave something away, they will. None of them addressed the full moon in the daytime. A few of them tried to, but it was ridiculous.
Maybe it's a slight lack of conviction is maybe sort of the problem, right? Because if this is something that's worrying you as a flat earther who's been a flat earther for I don't know how many years, then maybe you slightly lack the conviction in your stance. You know what I mean? And maybe that's something that's being heard by the audience, and maybe that's why the audience is kind of dwindling away. I mean, I could be off base here, but I don't know. It just sounds, because I hear this 24-hour sun thing, and I'm not losing a minute of sleep, a second of sleep. Like, what do you mean? Okay, so this.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
From Steve Windorf at Hypothetical Genius. It's not directed at you, but I'm going to direct it at you, Brian. What knowledge does Brian have that would allow him to analyze the incredibly complex data that he would need? ?
For a start, how does he know how complex it is? Number one. Number two, it means he didn't watch the video. I said, you can get this verified with any commercial pilot or any airline in the world, or any pilot in the world. It doesn't have to be commercial, as long as they can just read the data and understand the data. The data is just pitch data. It's not like the data, it's just pitch data. And if it is difficult to read, right, it's only difficult to read to the uneducated. All the educated can read it. So I don't have to be able to read it. You know what I mean? Like, this is what it's like. He won't even be able to read that data, right? No, that's a cop out. That's a red herring away from Will Duffy going to get the data? Because Brian won't be able to read that data. What's that got to do with anything? Whether I can read the data or not? It's what the data proves when the people who can read it read it. Doesn't matter if I'm some Dumbo who lives in a trash can. It doesn't need anything.
No, absolutely not. Like, if that's verifiable data, why are they shying away from it? Surely this data will verify their position. Surely they'd be keen to get this data. Does this all sound familiar from about 7 years ago, Brian? You getting the gist? I'm trying to egg Sleeping Warrior into the discussion. I mean, it must confirm your position, right, ball believers? We're going to need that data. Don't worry about whether or not we can analyse it. You can explain how it proves the sphere, can't you? Yeah, chop chop.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, why ask if Brian could? One of you wonderful globe believers can definitely come in here and explain it all to us, right?
They're scared of it, Chocolate. No, they're scared of the pitch data. And therefore they're worried about whether or not Brian can analyse it. Surely you'd want to push this forward. You'd want to dissect it. You'd want to show how globy it is. They don't want to because they know it's flat. That's why they don't want to give it you. That's why they say it won't prove anything. Won't prove anything. You'd think the rhetoric would be, this definitely proves a globe, because everything should prove a globe if you're on a globe. It doesn't, and they're all shying away from it immediately, Brian. How very telling. They're all scared of it. Sound familiar, lads? How the times have changed. Yeah. Mush
Yeah,
says
did
they
I,
won't even
did
go.
I just hear that they're claiming wouldn't prove anything?
Yeah, that's
No,
you go read Brian's
that's-
comments.
Ouch.
Yeah, some of the bigger names like Bell and various others, you know, people that you'd be familiar with that do make videos saying doesn't prove anything. Like, oh really? You're that scared of it? You're that scared of it? Where's Wally? You're that scared of it, Prof. Phil Bell? Doesn't prove anything. Well, it wouldn't be useful then. Why would they be using it? You'd think you'd want to be telling us all about how it proves a globe, but instead they're just telling us how scared they are of this data that Brian's requested. I mean, it's a simple enough request. Why would you be so scared of it?
Because it has to prove one thing or the other. This is the point. So that's why I found that interesting. That is a proper, I don't want anything to do with this, because it will prove one thing one way or another. Has to, because it's the pitch data. So it's interesting that they're hand-waving it away and don't want to deal with it, which is, they probably know
That's
what
what I
it's
dealt with all of them. Wolfie is out here 8 years now, since 2016. And for 8 years, he's avoided getting that pitch data. That's all he would have had to do. He could have done a GoFundMe. And loads of people would have joined in, flat and globe, for the data. Yeah. He could have done that, and he didn't in 8 years.
While we're on that,
not?
Brian,
sorry.
And any chance, Nathan, I could just shout out my Give, Send, Go. $31,000 is needed. And what we're going to do when we see the 24-hour Antarctic sun, we're going to be able to prove with our experiment that there are actually two dual Chinook orbiting suns. And then the church of the dual suns will rise.
Yes, we have simply formulated.
Give, Send, Go, 31,000. I don't think it's out the limits of the listeners. Come on, guys, get me to Antarctica.
I mean, this is sarcastic, and if it was real, I would be disgusted. Given
That's
how poor I
twice
am.
you've shot me down now.
Well, don't forget a little bit of spare change to bring some food for the penguins, because we got to save the penguins.
I'm taking them a bag of crisps.
Right. Okay. Jolly good. Smash the super chat to support this channel, while others discuss a £31,000 trip to validate the affirming the consequent fallacy that is Chinook orbital motion. That is two separate suns orbiting in the same way as the dual rotors of a Chinook helicopter rotate, and this will absolutely be validated on a flat plane with dual suns. If Earth is a flat plane with dual suns, then we will observe 24-hour sun in Antarctica. And if we do observe 24-hour sun in Antarctica, it's definitely proving Chinook helicopter motion of a suns over a flat plane. I mean, there's lots of them. There's the caustic coffee cup explanation. If Earth flat plane, then we will have caustic cup sun for 24 hours in Antarctica. We do have caustic cup coffee cup suns or sun above the horizon in Antarctica. Therefore, Earth's a flat plane with incoherent dielectric accelerative motion. I mean, we could do this all day, affirming the consequent with something that's not connected to the actual statement that's being made by begging the question in the case of a globe. If I assume antipodal positioning, then when I arrive on the bottom of a globe I've already assumed is the case, I'll see 24-hour sun. Oh, I do see 24-hour sun, therefore it's definitely my presupposition of a antipodal positioning system that I assumed before I even left my original location. Yeah, it's just begging the question, isn't it? Just assuming the thing you're trying to prove, and then slapping on some nonsensical observation after your assumption, otherwise known as affirming the consequent fallacy. That's all this is. And they're scared of the pitch data. So they want to affirm the consequent and use the fallacy, but they're scared of the pitch data, say it proves nothing. Scared.
Adam, other than them saying it proves nothing, all I've gotten, and I know because I brought up this topic ages back,
I don't know how long ago I brought up the whole pitch data thing, probably a few years ago. But the other one I always get, and we got it a minute ago in the chat, was how would Brian even know how to read? Brian wouldn't be able to read this completely. It's very complex data. Now, that would mean that these people have already read the data, which, you know what I mean, to know how complex it is. But it doesn't matter whether I can read it or not, does it? Who cares whether I can read it? The whole point of it is it can be read.
If for some reason you were unable to comprehend a load of numbers which are above and below,
hold on, don't jump the gun. Let me just validate
in
that.
reference
Hold
to
on. Just, let me just validate that. You can't just jump to those sorts of assumptions. Brian, can you read?
Yes.
Do you know what the numbers 1 through 10 and 0 are? Oh, this is dodgy ground. You may not know what the numbers. Let's just try all of. Do you know what a number 1 is?
I do.
What about a number 2?
Yes.
Are you familiar with a number 3?
I am.
What about a number 4?
Yes.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say he does have the capability of reading these numbers. I mean, I'm just going out on a limb.
News. So all we've got to do now is realise that the numbers that we're given will be in respect to the aeroplane's position to a flat plane, and we should then be able to interpret them. But if not, what we could do is ring a really clever baller, and they could tell us how it proves that we're going over a flat plane and doesn't demonstrate any dealing with curvature, couldn't they?
What,
if we were too thick to figure it out.
You mean tally the numbers to the pitch data with respect to the flight level parallel with surface level? That data. Someone could explain it to us from the ball side, could they?
It in of itself is a flat Earth proof, Nathan. So the pitch data, whatever number the list shows, or different numbers, each one of those numbers is in with respect to a flat plane. Do you understand? It's how much it's angled away from the flat plane. That's what the number means.
0. 0 degrees, that's the whole point. 0 degrees is horizontal. 0 degrees is level. Level is horizontal. That's the whole point. What are they going to show me? Show us. How many degrees the plane's nose is above or below horizontal?
Yes. How high or low the nose of the plane is with respect to a flat Earth. That's what the data ipso facto is. What's that? It's not relevant, won't prove anything. Yeah, you're all terrified of this, aren't you? It's immediately obvious. I had a good chuckle in Brian's comments. Yeah? I mean, I didn't even respond to some of them. I just threw in a non sequitur because that's what we used to get. So Phil Bell bleating about this got water vapour isn't a gas, end quote, Phil Bell. Complete non sequitur with me and a laughing face because of the terrified spew that has resulted in Brian's simple request for data that will be needed to travel to this location. That is a fact. And you're all terrified it on the ball side because you know it proves a flat Earth. We know it proves a flat Earth. Adam's just explained it really concisely. Pitch data is the angle of the nose with respect to a flat plane. That's what it is. That was an excellent summary, by the way, Adam.
I have got pitch data, but nobody will accept it, will they, Bri? But we've got it, you see. I've been there. I've done it on the plane, on the flight. Yeah. But it isn't worth the video it's recorded on. Because no one will believe it. But that's what that pitch data is going to show. That's what all the manuals describe, how aeroplanes work and what to expect. It's just when you've actually got that and you show that there's no reorientation for the changing of down, it is an absolute ball destroyer.
Yeah, well,
and that's why I find it interesting. They want to mitigate away from it as if that data won't show anything.
They're doing the journey and they want to discount the journey in favour of an antipodal assumption? What an outrage. No, we're definitely going to need to confirm this antipodal positioning that you're assuming when you get down there. And nothing else will matter. You know, that's the main point of the argument, isn't it?
Exactly. You see, this is the thing, and Adam is aware of this, and I'm sure other people here are aware of this. And Wolfie is very aware of it. That this data can't be falsified in any way. Because anyone who attempts to falsify it will be shown to have falsified it by every commercial pilot in the world, by every airline in the world, every pilot anywhere. You don't have to be a commercial pilot, private pilot, it doesn't matter. If you fly a Cessna, it makes a single prop Cessna, makes no difference. You know how that plane has to fly. Doesn't matter how big or small the plane is, to go from A to B, it has to do the same thing. Right? There might be extra factors, but the thing you're doing is exactly the same. But there's a bigger problem. And this is why Wolfie never wanted to touch it, but especially when he started coming into my channel on a second channel and stopped coming in on his main channel, onto my channel. And eventually I had to just ban him that channel. The reason is that the reason that the plane has to do that is because of the lift effect. And this is the thing, they can't falsify it, because anyone that tries to give us false data, as soon as they start showing a consistent pitch below a starting horizontal, it's over, right? Because no pilot in the world will go along with that as a truth, number one. And number two is that is a violation of the lift effect. So violating the lift effect is like trying to violate entropy. It can't be done. It only works one way. Air doesn't decide to not go out past as claimed Kármán line, to a massive area of zero resistance. It doesn't do that. Air pressure doesn't decide to do that. No, and lift doesn't work with a below horizontal pitch. You're going to hit the ground. End of story.
It does if it's rebellious.
Rebellious pitch data.
Oh man. To what Nathan was saying before, about their assumptions. Some people just like their assumptions, man. Remember like Platypus yesterday. He was a globe Earth knower with all his assumptions. And then when asked, how did you measure the globe? What is globe measurement? What is that about? I don't know. It's much easier with assumptions.
And that's all the Antarctica thing is, isn't it? A load of assumptions that will confirm a bias. It doesn't prove anything.
Hey, Nathan, could you throw that air screen up?
Any more for any more on this? Have we all took it ourselves out on this?
Hello?
Yes. What are you presenting?
Throw my share screen up.
I see it.
Throw that up on your video.
I don't have control of your sound.
You don't need sound.
Okay. We'll just sit in silence for a bit then.
Hey, ballers!
Okay, I don't know what's going on, QE.
The bottles.
I think Kiwi's going to go through the presentation.
No, I wasn't. No, I just wanted to take a look.
It's very much an audio-based show, though. Please read it.
No, I thought you were still live.
I am.
Doesn't need audio. Oh my God.
Some people say QE's awkward. They're wrong.
Nathan?
That's me.
Did Brian say he was questioning what telemetry was?
No, it's a question from the super chat. Someone said, is telemetry the same as pitch data?
Yeah, I mean, we have it on our drones, telemetry. It's a black box system, which is just an SD card fitted into the flight controller. And you can log any of the parameters that are monitored. And the new sort of setup, we can watch them live on a two-way feed back to your transmitter. So you can watch your amperage draw or pitch, roll, or yaw axis. So telemetry is basically any sensor you've got on your flight, whether it be a drone or a plane. And pitch is one of those sensors that is recorded. There is a way of overlaying it onto your flight footage in a graphical way.
Yeah, Brian, what I'm looking for, sorry, go on.
Go on.
Yeah, it's specifically the pitch data I'm looking for. And I don't want the ballers to be able to mess around with that by adding in data from anything else. So it's the pitch data specifically. So is it possible, let's say in your situation, is it possible then that I hear you say that you could just show just the pitch data of your drone?
You could only record the pitch data, yeah. I mean, there's dozens of sensors on a modern day drone that you can record. Even the PID settings, which is like the tuning of the motors with the dampening of the acceleration and that. The volts of the battery.
I got you. Before you get into the technical details of drones, sorry, Brian, to cut you off. I think one of the things in Brian's video that he's specifically suggesting that is the reason for this more official data is that there's no ambiguity. If there's any fudging, then there's going to be a whole pile of other pilots that go, that isn't the data. That's not right. Now, that's kind of, it's caveated by Brian in his video, and with good reason. So I don't think I'm speaking for you now, Brian, I'm sorry. Brian, G plus Brian. He's not trying to decry what you're suggesting, and it sounds great. You know, the fact that you can get this data and it works and it functions is because, like Adam said, the drone is referencing itself to the horizontal, and the pitch data is the same as the commercial flights. The nose with respect to the plane that it's flying over, the flat plane of reference that it needs to describe how high or low it is as an angle. So it's not that it's not useful, it's just in this particular instance there's an opportunity to put a bit of pressure on our opponents in a request for more official data. Not only that, Brian's been chasing Wolfie for about 7 or 8 years for this data, because he knows where that road ends, right, Brian? I'm just passing over to our Brian from Discord.
Yeah, it's not that I wouldn't want to see the data you're talking about, Brian. It's not that I wouldn't welcome that pitch data. I would still welcome it. Don't get me. No one should get me wrong. It's not that I'm not welcoming data from independent sources. It's my point being is that if the data comes from airlines, it can't be fudged. It can't be. It's not so much fudged. It can't be. Someone can turn around and say, about your data, that guy, that Brian is a liar, and some borders, and they just have to say it in course that you're a liar, and without any evidence that you are, right? But they can't do that with a commercial airline, right? So the pitch data from several commercial airline companies, they can't hand wave it away. The news agencies can't hand wave it away. The world can't hand wave it away. Whereas with someone independent like you, they can decide to ignore you or hand wave it away or character assassinate you. And you're not in a position to fight back against that because the tide would be too big.
You clearly fudged that data, Brian, in Discord, you dodgy mofo.
Yeah, the one thing I would say though, Bri, is that it's a stream of data. The pitch data would just be a packet of the telemetry data, which would record on an aircraft, I would imagine, hundreds of sensors. So you wouldn't get just a pitch data. You would get the whole data and try and extract the pitch data from that file.
Yeah, well, if that's what it needs to be, I mean...
Isn't it pitot tubes that would give them this data? The little things on the front of the plane that they cover up when they land so they don't get flies and stuff in them?
That's the pitot tube, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that what they're using?
Airspeed. That's an airspeed indicator.
Oh, is that airspeed? Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
What is it that they're actually
Yeah, but
using? Well, that's kind of what I'm asking then in my ignorance. What is it that is you said it's hundreds of sensors. Well, is it? What is actually giving them pitch data?
Literally just a gyro.
Just the
Whether it be
gyro.
a digital
horizon.
gyro or a mechanical gyro.
Hold on, I'm getting 3 answers. Brian from Discord first, then Adam.
Yeah.
So sorry, just a digital gyro. I would imagine. I mean, I don't know. We've got digital gyros on the drones nowadays. You don't have a bloody spinning gyro in there.
No, fair enough.
And it will give you, thousandths of a degree if
Sure.
be.
But what about on the commercial airliner?
Yeah, there's 2 sources on a commercial airline. There's the black box that the data will be on, and what Brian is talking about is that data being in with a lot of other data. But there's a secondary source, and that is the inertial navigation system. That
No,
records
that's not what I'm
all
asking.
the
Sorry.
time.
I'm not asking where it's recorded or processed. I'm asking where it's gathered. What's the instrument that gathers the information?
I think that would be the attitude indicator, Nathan.
Show horizon.
Yeah, so back to the gyro, Adam.
The gyro that's within it, yes, but the pilot's going to be referencing with his eyes the artificial horizon. That's the thing that's going to maintain the level for him, that the 3.5 degrees that the plane will be flying at in a straight line vector will be referenced to. So that's what the pitch data is in relation to the ground, the angle of attack that it's got, and all we're looking for is to see if it tumbles, if it goes below 0, because it has to reorientate. We don't have to have monstrous amounts. We need to see if any reorientation occurs. That's all that's required.
Well, it's worse than that for them, because they can't just reorientate back out to a horizontal after they've done it. They can't do that. That won't work. Because what will happen is the nose of the plane in relation to the curved surface underneath will consistently then be pointing upwards into the sky in relation to the surface underneath of a globe. The only way they can deal with it is keep that accumulated pitch below the starting horizontal point. This cruising, basically, to get the cruising altitude for the audience, to get the cruising altitude, right? And at that point, then they have a pitch of about 3 to 4 degrees above horizontal, and that's their cruising altitude at cruising speed, and that's the pitch they'll hold, right, for cruising speed. What Adam is talking about is if they're flying around the globe, that can't happen. They can get to cruising altitude, hold the horizontal for a second, and after that, there must be an accumulated below horizontal pitch from second to second to second, to minute, which will work out about 7.24 or something degrees. If the plane is flying at 500 miles an hour, over an hour, it'll be 7.24 degrees below horizontal.
You've got a 0.09 degree change per kilometre.
Yeah. But they're flying with respect to the horizon, and a gyro that's principles would be defied if it did this, and the flight level parallel to the ground will only be validated by a measure that is also referencing horizontal when you describe a degree deviation above or below it. These are all flat Earth prerequisites. With that, though, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, checked out my second channel if you wanted to get the information for free a week later, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.